This wild cow, in order to reproduce, had her entire lower body forcibly pressed into the grass by a bull. Unfortunately, after the bull finished its business, it simply walked away, leaving the cow trapped for several days before being discovered by humans. At this moment, as she sees the human staring at her intently, she actually looks a bit shy, almost as if she wants to bury her head in shame. Considering that wild animals should be rescued when possible, the men did not take advantage of the cow's predicament. Instead, they decided to pay out of their own pockets to hire an excavator operator to help this surrogate cow. But, as the saying goes, no sooner said than done. The bulldozer quickly cleared away the soil around the cow, but for the sake of her safety, they could only dig a deep pit near her body first. Throughout the entire process, the cow remained silent. Perhaps she believed that her old flame hadn't really abandoned her, but was just waiting somewhere nearby for the right moment to come and take her away. So, even as the cow faced these unfamiliar humans noisily digging around her, she showed no fear at all. She was probably thinking that once she managed to free her lower body, she could make a quick escape. Unfortunately, as the soil around her was dug deeper and deeper, the weight of the tractor only pressed the surrounding earth down even more, making things worse. At this point, the cow was probably feeling utterly hopeless. After much deliberation, the men had no choice but to continue digging by hand to rescue her. Although this method was a bit slower, at least it ensured the cow's safety. I have to say, watching the cow sink into the dirt like that was quite a comical sight. It's hard to imagine why, out of all the places they could choose, the bull and the cow insisted on mating right here on this muddy grassland. Was it just because the thick, messy grass here could hide them from view? If anyone knows the reason, feel free to share your thoughts. In the blink of an eye, as the two men kept digging, a large part of the cow's lower body was finally exposed. However, since the cow's legs were stuck so deep in the ground, even pulling on her tail didn't help the men get her out. At this moment, the cow felt utterly hopeless. She lay her head down on the ground, as if cursing her old flame from the bottom of her heart, blaming him for all her suffering. Her mournful cries echoed across the entire grassland. Clinging to a sliver of hope, the cow turned her head to look into the distance, but there wasn't even a single cow in sight. In utter despair, she collapsed again. Seeing the cow in such a pitiful state, one can't help but recall a certain saying. If you ever encounter false affection, never fall for a jerk. Fortunately, this cow met these kind-hearted humans. After continuous digging and rescue efforts by the humans, her lower body was about to be freed from the deep pit. However, she had been trapped for a long time. At this point, she no longer had enough strength to push herself out with her legs, so more effort was needed. The two men continued to dig out the sand and soil from the pit, while the cow struggled desperately, but she always seemed to be just a little bit short of getting out. Exhausted and helpless, the cow could only choose to lie down. In the end,